पहचान। ये मेरा दिल, ये मेरी जान है रमजान मेरी पहचान। अल्लाह का एहसान, नबी का फरमान है, रब का इनाम मिला है कुरान। ईमान ही रमजान, ईमान ही रमजान। ये मेरा दिल, ये मेरी जान, ये मेरा दिल है रमजान। दिन के हैं रोजे, रातों की इबादत, मेरे प्यारे रब की सारी ही इनायत। मिला है हमें तोहफा ये कुरान, रब की अता से मिला है फुरकान। ईमान ही रमजान, ईमान ही रमजान। ये मेरा दिल, ये मेरी जान, ये मेरा दिल, ये मेरी जान है रमजान मेरी पहचान। ईमान ही रमजान। मेरी पहचान हुआ अल्लाह ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह, ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह, दुआएं हैं जारी बदर के लब पर। ईमान का अपने रब पर मेरा है जो मालिक, वो सबसे अकबर। वो ही मेरा राज़िक, वो ही मेरा रहबर। ये मेरा दिल, ये मेरी जान, ये मेरा दिल, ये मेरी जान है रमजान मेरी पहचान। मेरी पहचान, ये मेरा दिल, ये मेरी जान है रमजान। ईमान अल्लाह का एहसान, नबी का फरमान है, रब का इनाम मिला है कुरान।
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Canada One TV's live Iftaar transmission, Iman Hi Ramzan. I'm your host, Abdullah Shaikh, and this is Canada One TV's 6th year doing live Iftaar transmissions. Your morning starts with Seher with Najm Shiraz, which includes different segments by AQ Mufti, Ayub Hamid, and Aziz Raqla. Also teaching you Arabic in a simple manner is Azhar Siddiqui. Throughout the day, you enjoy nasheeds, speeches, and beautiful recitations of the Holy Quran. Before you meet my guests here in the studio today, let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
You know, we were always trying how to get a house. Remember the Royal Financial Group flyer you gave me for the mortgage?
Oh yes, Shiraz Hussain, who did our mortgage too.
Yes, I actually went to their office. The staff was so professional. They're expert in their services. And you know what Shiraz said?
We have more than 100 lenders to help you to find our right qualified lenders and program for your purchase, refinancing, any of your commercial needs. At the Royal Financial Group, we deliver what we promise.
Royal Financial Group, Never put a limit on your dreams.
जल्दी से हॉस्पिटल आ जाएं, साहब का एक्सीडेंट हो चुका है।
जान बचाने के लिए हमें एक टांग ज़ाया करनी पड़ रही है
एक उम्मीद जो बढ़ाए पहला कदम।
उम्मीद है आप दें उससे जो दिया उसने।
अब घर चले?
चल
बने जरिया इंडस के जरिए
अपनी ज़कात और अतियात से लाखों मरीजों की खिदमत में हमारा साथ दीजिए, क्योंकि उम्मीद है आप।
एयरविंग्स ट्रैवल एंड टूर्स नॉर्थ अमेरिका की सबसे बाएतमाद और फास्टेस्ट एयर ट्रैवल सर्विसेज। 25 साल का तजर्बा लिए लातादाद अफोर्डेबल ट्रैवल डील्स के साथ एक्सीलेंस इन कस्टमर सर्विसेज ऑन जस्ट वन फोन कॉल। ये है एयरविंग्स ट्रैवल एंड टूर्स। फॉर बुकिंग कॉल नाउ 1855-247-9464 और 905-272-2300। एयरविंग्स ट्रैवल एंड टूर्स।
Injuries not only impact you, but also people around you. Life is better than this. Let's get your life back. The injury lawyers at Alam Law will use their years of experience to handle your claim so that you can focus on your recovery. And remember, you don't pay until we win. Alam Law.
अंधेरों में था उड़ता दिल पतंगे की तरह।
क्या नाम है तुम्हारा?
नरमीन फातिमा।
कितना प्यारा नाम है, पढ़कर बताओ।
नहीं आता।
नरमीन तुम फौरन स्कूल नहीं जाती? अब जाएगी। शुक्रिया बेटा।
शुक्रिया तो मुझे आपका अदा करना चाहिए।
छुपी छुपी सी आस को फिर जिंदा कर दिया, बुझे बुझे से ख्वाबों को ताबिंदा कर दिया।
इसके आगे तो आप डॉक्टर लिखना पड़ेगा।
द सिटीजन्स फाउंडेशन मयारी तालीम के जरिए ऐसे लाखों बच्चों का मुस्तकबिल रोशन बना रहा है। इस रमज़ान अपनी ज़कात और अतियात से इस सफ़र में TCF का साथ दें और बदलें लाखों जिंदगियां।
Welcome back to Canada 1 TV's live Iftaar transmission, Iman hi Ramzan. Ramadan is a blessed month of fasting and spiritual reflection. It is a time of deep introspection, charity, and community building. During this holy month, we abstain from food and drink from dawn until sunset and focus on acts of worship, such as prayer, recitation of the Quran, and giving to those in need. Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala narrates that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Whoever fasts the month of Ramadan in the state of faith and for the sake of its reward, all his previous sins will be forgiven." Through this transmission, we aim to bring you closer to the spirit of Ramadan by sharing insightful reflections, inspiring stories, and helpful tips to make the most of this month. So join us as we embark on this journey of faith and self-discovery, and may this Ramadan be a source of blessings and guidance for us all. Joined with me in the studio is Taha Shaikh. Taha Shaikh is a Shula graduate, a business leader, a politician, and someone I consider an older brother. Taha, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
How you doing?
Jazakallah for having me on the show. Alhamdulillah, man. It's the month of Ramadan.
How's your Ramadan going?
It's been good. It's been quick. We're 20 fast in now, and the akhri ashra, so can't complain.
No complaints. So before we get into the main questions I have for you, let's talk about your journey. What got you into politics?
I guess for me, my political journey started when I was in elementary school. So when you have student council there, for me, I wanted to always be in a position of power. I wanted to be able to make a difference for my classmates. So grade 7 came around and I was like, I'm gonna run for treasurer. I was big on business and finance and money, so I was like, I wanna make the budgets for a school council. I was unsuccessful. I was unsuccessful in grade 7. In grade 8, I ran for president, even though I had no experience, but I still ran. In grade 9, I ran for student rep and I actually won. And the reason was because no one chose to run against me. And that's when for me, there was like a fire in me that was burning. And I wanted to ensure that I was getting involved within my school, but at the same time, my father had paved a path for me. He immigrated to Canada in 1995, and he was in a position where he wanted to ensure that he was setting his children, myself, my sister, and my brother up for success, not only in our careers, but in community involvement as well. So he had gotten me involved in municipal politics. So I remember at the age of 13, it was when I was the first time I got out and I knocked on doors. It was for a counselor in Markham. And I knocked on a lot of doors, and I was like, for me, I was like, I loved it. I was climbing upstairs. I had the opportunity to be that, the newspaper guy, throw somebody's lit at the door, knock and walk away. And then I realized that those conversations that we were having at the door, how important they were. And that transitioned into more opportunities where I continued to, volunteer with the NDP, the Liberals, and the Conservatives. And I started to ask more questions to my father and the people I was volunteering with. And then came high school and university, and I ran for school board trustee at the age of, I want to say 22 or 23.
Yeah, that's nice.
And I lost, but I still ran.
We don't talk about that. Okay, so this brings me to my next point. Your whole life, you've been a liberal, from what I saw. And I believe you even went up for nomination?
At one point, yeah.
Yeah, at one point, from the Liberals.
Yeah.
But recently, from your social media, I saw you took a whole 180, and you went straight to the Conservatives.
Yeah.
What caused this sudden change?
I think the broader aspect, when you and I were having this discussion, why are we going to do this show? And I think the number one aspect was that getting our youth voices heard here in Canada is really important. And for us, our parents have paved the path, and it's now time for them to pass on the torch and for us to run with it. When I was 22, I ran for school board trustee in York Region. I finished 3rd out of 12 candidates, and I was like, I think a couple thousand votes. And the people I lost were former Liberal and Conservative candidates. So they were political sharks, and they were obviously a lot more experienced and were veterans in the game. I didn't let that dishearten me or shy me away from continuing to, chase what I wanted. The Liberals were for me, as parents that had immigrated, they came here and they're like, हमको Liberals बहुत पसंद है. वो हम लोग इसलिए ही आए हैं कनाडा, इसलिए Liberals ने हमारे immigration की और हमको यहाँ लेके आए हैं. लेकिन उस वक्त, for us, it was, we were kind of told that, right? That was based off of just the fact, and that's totally cool. And I think it's because of them, our parents immigrated. But when I spent the last couple of years, and yeah, I went up for a Liberal nomination, but I had backed out just for this reason, because when I got to learn a lot more about the policies about the Ontario Liberals and the Liberals at the federal level, I was like, these did not, they don't align with me as a Muslim. They don't align with me as a Canadian, Pakistani Muslim. My values, I'm a Muslim first before I'm anything else. And when I look at the Liberal policies from that perspective, it didn't meet ends. From what I wanted to do for my family in the future, it didn't meet ends. And when I started to have those conversations, I was like, hey, I was supporting them based off the fact that that was the party my father had built strong connections with, still has strong ties with, but I didn't do my knowledge, my research in any capacity. And that's something you'll see amongst our generation in our community. There's a lack of research. We vote the Liberals because उन्हें हमारी immigration की थी. And I've heard that one too many times, and it's like, I'm like, okay, immigration के अलावा और क्या किया? And they can't list one thing. उन्हें taxes I'm like, are you sure the taxes कम किए थे? I'm like, recession came both times. So I asked some questions, and it's like, all right, I think it's time for us to partner with, there's a lot of organizations out there, for us to partner up with them and be like, hey, let's educate the Canadian Muslim vote, where they break down the values of the Liberals, the Conservatives, the NDP, the Green Party, the Bloc Québécois, and tell you, hey, as a Muslim, these are the values we have, these are what you're looking for. And when I did that recently, I had the opportunity to help with Pierre. He is the federal leader of the Conservative Party at the federal level, and I helped with his campaign, his leadership race, And I had the opportunity to sit down with him one-on-one and ask him the questions, the burning questions as a Canadian Muslim Pakistani that I had about the Muslim laws, what his stance on our mosque, what his stance on our practicing religion. Everything that we see that we're consistently talking about on social media, I had that opportunity to get that done. When I made the switch, I openly tell people, yeah, I was a liberal. There are various MPs and MPPs out there that were liberals, that were conservatives, that were NDPs and have switched. Because your values, when you do your research and your knowledge, and as you're growing up too, I will advocate that you need to do your research and see what fits best. Just because I'm your brother and I'm supporting the conservatives, doesn't mean I need you to do the same thing. And that's what I did.
That's nice. So, by the way, we are taking live calls. The number is going up on the screen. So if you do have any messages, if you have any questions, you can call live and we'll take you on. We talked about MPs, MPPs. Right now, what are your thoughts on the current lineup of Muslims we have in politics?
I think I'll take it a step back from that one.
All right.
When we get to the candidates, before there, then we had there's two recent I guess like situations that happened in the Muslim community. We had the Markham Masjid, the Islamic Society of Markham had their, somebody came by, tried to run over some of the congregants, and then we had the incident in Masjid Al-Aqsa. So I know various different party leaders had their stances on the Masjid Al-Aqsa event, which is overseas.
Yeah.
No party member, no leader yet, until this morning, has come out and said anything about what happened in Markham, what happened in Montreal last night. I'm fortunate enough to be put in the position where I've built those connections and I've built this relationship within the Conservatives that when I had that conversation yesterday and the day before with Pierre and his team, we were able to get him to put out a tweet this morning in regards to his belief as to what's going to happen and what should be happening for worship places, Islamic institutions across the country. These opportunities aren't built over time. These relationships aren't built over 24 hours. Which leads me to your question. There's a lot of candidates out there. There are a lot of them. Some of them are 27 years old, some of them are 30 years old, some of them are 52, 55, from the Pakistani Muslim community. And my biggest question for a lot of them has always been, what's your background? Educational? What's your political background? How long have you been involved in politics? Did you just get a nomination because somebody in your family told you to do it? Did you do it because it's something that you wanted to pass time? What have you done for the community at large that you're just jumping into a nomination, jumping into a power position right away without doing any research? People like myself, there's a couple of us that have been involved in community politics for 13, 14, 15 years. I'm 27, 28 years old. Half my life I've dedicated as a volunteer to parties. We understand the system. A lot of our Muslim candidates out there, I'm sorry to say, without naming any of them, a lot of them, handful, don't know how the democratic process even works, how the nomination process works. And that's the reason that till this day, no Pakistani Muslim has ever been a minister. We win. We love showing up at every auntie and uncle's hakika, to their Quran khanis, to their funerals, to their birthday parties, to their anniversaries, because we don't value the fact that we're an MP, we're an MPP. हमको बस खाने के लिए जाना होता है, पिक्चर खिंचवा के पोस्ट कर हमने सर्टिफिकेट प्रेजेंट किया, कल हम ईद बाजार पे गए हुए थे, आज हम इसके बर्थडे पे जा रहे हैं. Where is your value as an MP and MPP? I don't remember the last time I've seen a couple of the ministers in different ethnic groups show up at people's birthday parties. What are you doing with you're an elected individual? What are you doing? And I've said this time and time again. You have those that are consistently putting their name up for candidacy, have lost 3-4 times. There are those that had 2 months of experience about what politics were, and the Ontario Liberals were making them candidates because they were hungry for candidates last time around. And you know what it does? It ruins your image for sure. You have a losing record. Great, good for you. But for the Muslim community, we're 0 for 6, 0 for 7 last time around. That's not the way it needs to be done.
So, looking at all of this that we just talked about, talking about how, everything went down with how there's no real background here. How important do you think it is for kids like me, younger than me, to be involved in politics from a young age?
I think हमारी generation जो है ना, on social media जब भी कोई issue होता है, we're the first ones to pick up our phones and be like, repost a story, कुछ लगाते हैं story के ऊपर, we want change, please donate to this link. It is very, very easy to share a picture and a link to get donations. I've done it a million times. What action have you done outside of your social media to actually get things to happen? I don't remember the last time I saw these candidates that are showing up time and time again at the young age actually do something for the community aside from election time. Provincial elections were a year ago now, almost a year ago. Federal elections were about a year and a half ago. A lot of our candidates, people that are interested. I'm gonna see you guys again closer to provincial elections in 2.5 years, and federal elections whenever they're next year, the year after. And they'll be knocking on our doors again. And they'll be going around the Pakistani community, uncle, auntie, bhai, bhan, please humko donation de. Hum log itna kaam karte hain apne community ke liye, please humko donation de. That's not how it's supposed to work. You need to stay involved. You gotta stay involved the day after you lose an election, or let's say for me, I haven't ran an election yet. And if I were to run in a couple of years from now, I gotta start working now. Get involved in the grassroots levels. There's a couple of communities out there that came after the Muslims, the Sikhs. Navdeep Bains, a liberal minister at the federal level. He retired, left the political career, he's working for CIBC now, but he did a lot of work at the grassroots levels. Jagmeet Singh, NDP federal leader. When's the last time, aside from now, I think that sure liberals have a couple of Muslims contesting for leadership, when's the last time we actually had a Muslim, solid Muslim candidate at any level? The Sikhs came after us a long time after. The Filipinos came a long time after us. They've got ministers. They've got people contesting for leadership. What are we doing? These aunties and uncles are gatekeepers. They love having, they think this is biryani politics. And I'm sorry to say, I'm very, I see how it is. It's biryani politics. वही लगता है कराची, लाहौर, इस्लामाबाद में हम बैठे हुए हैं, and वहीं की politics में यहाँ लेके आ रहे हैं. We're in Canada. It's a democratic society. We got to adapt to the system here, and we came here to pave a path for our kids. My father has been involved in politics, in the community for over 30 years now. Not once did he stand up and be like, I'm going to run as a political candidate. He had offers, he did, but he said, I'm here to pave the path for the next generation. Well, that was me, my sister, my brother. He wants us, people that went through the system here, understand the system here, to take that next step forward and become those leaders and actually become the first minister or the first deputy prime minister or the prime minister or the premier or a mayor. At any levels, I'm going to say we're losers. We're unsuccessful as a community. We try time and time again for 0 for 6, 0 for 7, 0 for 8. Something is going wrong. There's a lack of education for our candidates. They don't know why they're running. A lot of times they're learning on the fly. And for those that do know they're running and why they're running, they've ran 3 times and you've lost every time. I think it's time for you to step down and mentor the next generation. Jagmeet is doing this. The Sikhs do it on a consistent basis. You lose, they have the next person come up, they're groomed, well-educated, and they're winning their elections. Happen at the federal level, happen at the municipal level, happen at the provincial level. Well, why is it that only our community is struggling with that?
Yes, something to think about.
Definitely.
I got a thought, I remembered something. I remember I was doing a federal campaign.
Okay.
This was, I think, 2 years ago, whenever the last one was.
About 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah. And I knocked on a man's door, he opened the door, and he said he's a liberal at heart still, but the only reason he's not voting liberals is because of Justin Trudeau. What do you think? He said if it was anybody else other than Trudeau, I would have voted liberals, but because it's Justin Trudeau, I'm not voting. He said his father was a great man, but I don't like what Trudeau's doing.
Remember, the leader of the party is the face of the party. Right? There's 2 ways to look at this. And when I vote in my own riding, I need to keep 2 things in mind. Yeah, if my riding turns liberal at the federal level, then I'll have a liberal representative at Parliament Hill. But at the same time, sometimes when I'm voting, I'll base it off the person's education, what they're capable of doing for my riding. Because for me, I need a person that I can call and be like, hey, these are the issues I'm having. This one needs to be done, and this is how I want it to be done. In my riding, at the provincial level, it is Logan Kanapati. He's a conservative. And at the federal level is Minister Mary Ng, Minister for Small Businesses. And she's a liberal. When this whole mall situation happened, I called Logan, had a conversation with him. came up with a roadmap of what needs to be done. And hey, this is what has to be done. What do you think we can do from the Premier's office and take it from there? Not only from this issue, for anything I have. And that are provincial duties. At a federal level, I knocked on Mary Ng's door. I've had conversations with her. Just because you're liberal doesn't mean I cannot build a relationship with her, working relationship with her. Those are things that you need to be able to have. So yeah, I've shied away from voting certain individuals because of their party leads. But at the same time, if I know that person is a go-getter, he's going to get the job done, then 100% I'll vote for them. The party lead obviously comes up with the policies and is the brand that you're representing. But at the bottom, if the person that's there is a hardworking individual, has the qualification, and thinks can get here, make your concerns be heard at Parliament Hill or Queen's Park or City Hall, then yeah, vote for that specific individual. Because you got to make sure, remember, Justin Trudeau or Pierre is not going to be in your riding working. It's going to be that individual.
Well, I introduced you as a business leader, but before we get to that side of your field, we're going to take a short break. Please stay tuned.
Assalamu alaikum, respected brother and sister. Aman Khan, Federal Islamic Center से आपके मुखातिब हूँ. आप ये देख सकते हैं पीछे ये हॉल, ये चर्च, इस पे हम पिछले 8-10 साल से नमाज पढ़ रहे हैं. और फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल जो हमारी चर्च है, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया कि मैनेजमेंट का इन्होंने हमें जगह दी है. और लेकिन हमारी कंस्ट्रक्शन भी साथ चल रही है. अब कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑलमोस्ट खत्म होने वाली है. इंशाल्लाह अगले साल हमारी कंस्ट्रक्शन कंप्लीट हो जाएगी, अल्लाह ने चाहा तो. हमें $3.3 मिलियन की जरूरत है और हमें तकरीबन 3,300 लोग चाहिए जो कि $1,000 एक आदमी दे सके. इंशाअल्लाह ताला आपके $1,000 से आपके लिए सदका जारिया भी बनेगा और ये जो हमारा कंस्ट्रक्शन जो प्रोजेक्ट है इंशाअल्लाह वो भी कंप्लीट हो जाएगा. प्लीज ताउन कीजिए. आप वेबसाइट पे नाम देख सकते हैं, लिंक देख सकते हैं, उसमें जाए क्लिक करें और प्लीज डोनेट कीजिए एज मच एज पॉसिबल. शुक्रिया बहुत बहुत.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Nasir Ahmed, Principal Broker. I will get you Mortgage Services Limited. Want to take a moment to say Happy Ramadan 2023 to all our Muslim brothers and sisters. Remember, for all your mortgage needs, I will get you Mortgage Services Limited, have solutions. Give us a call 416-689-2696. or visit our website at www.iwillgetyoumortgage.com.
Welcome to Pan Am Blinds Limited. My name is Bobby, and I would like to introduce our very newest product. It is only with us with Pan Am Blinds in Improve. So it's a very unique and new product in different color. It's an energy saver. You can save your 85% energy, and also it has child safety features. Please come to our store and see how many beautiful colors we do have and enjoy your comfort of life.
I help clients with their legal protection, but I haven't done any estate or tax-free retirement planning for myself.
With the recent changes, I wish I could minimize taxes and plan for a tax-free retirement income.
For over 18 years, Zahid Syed of Arush Financial has been giving business owners and professionals sound advice on tax reduction, life and health insurance, and estate planning strategies.
Act now, I can help.
Managing your own business can be a lot of work. A professional accountant always makes a difference. It's imperative that your accountant keeps your finances simple, accurate, and confidential. Audited? Need help? That's why we chose Scans Accountants. They make you feel at ease knowing you and your business are in good hands. Scans Accountants, team of professionals.
At Human Concern International, we are committed to supporting orphans around the world and showing them the love, compassion and care they deserve by providing food, education and security. Children like Hafsa, who because of your sponsorship has food to eat and can earn an education. When you see Hafsa, will you ignore her or show concern? This Ramadan, show your concern.
सारा के लिए सरप्राइज है. चली कुछ खोज रही है मेरे मन की बस्ती किसे नगर डगर है ढूंढ रहा दिल मेरे मन की हंसती उसकी है आगे सामने लग सब कुछ मान सा छुपा नूर के
बहुत प्यारा लग रहा है
तस्वीर की तहरीर को आंखों ने पी लिया दिल ने कहा चुपके से लो आज हमने जी लिया
I just walked together with the women of this village to get water from this well, and they were telling me how the water is very dirty, but at the same time they still get sick from drinking it because there's so much sand that's mixed in it. So as you can see, they are in dire need of help. So you can also help them by donating to Muslim Hands and make sure that there are wells that are being developed with clean and safe water for them to drink.
This is Badar, broker from Cityscape Real Estate. Welcome to Niagara Falls region. मैं आपके लिए फ्री होल्ड टाउन होम्स का नया प्रोजेक्ट लाया हूँ। नियाग्रा फॉल्स के एरिया थॉरल्ड में प्राइस स्टार्ट हो रही है $699,000। डिपॉजिट स्ट्रक्चर बहुत ही फ्लेक्सिबल है। आइए इसकी डिटेल्स शेयर करता हूँ। $5,000 आपने देने हैं जब आप एग्रीमेंट साइन कर रहे होंगे और 1 महीने के बाद आपने $30,000 देने हैं। इस तरह अगर आपके पास $35,000 मौजूद हैं तो आप ये घर ले सकते हैं, फ्री होल्ड टाउन होम के मालिक बन सकते हैं। उसके बाद $500, जी हाँ $500 पर मंथ फॉर 10 मंथ आपने डिपॉजिट करवाना है। 1 साल के बाद आपको जमा करवाने हैं $30,000 मोर। इस तरह ये 10% का डिपॉजिट स्ट्रक्चर है, वेरी फ्लेक्सिबल। मेरा फ़ोन नंबर है 416-835-1997। उन फैमिलीज़ को भी पास ऑन कीजिएगा जो रेंट पे रह रहे हैं या इन्वेस्ट करना चाह रहे हैं। बदर फ्रॉम सिटीस्केप रियल स्टेट। My number is 416-835-1997.
Trusted name in the legal service, Mohammed Atiq Malik, barrister and solicitor. Behtareen Vakil, legal advice, real estate, family law, wills, power of attorney, guardianship, litigation. One of the most trustworthy lawyer. Consultation, call 416-834-0079. 416-834-0079. Further information के लिए visit कीजिए www.lawrai.ca.
Welcome back to Canada 1 TV's live Iftaar transmission, Iman hi Ramzan. Joined with us in the studio is Taha Shaikh, but Sheikh Abdullah Raja has also joined us. Sheikh Abdullah Raja is an Islamic scholar, a motivational speaker, and an inspiration to many. He is also the president of Muslim Youth League Canada. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam, rahmatullah.
How you doing?
Alhamdulillah.
How's your Ramadan?
Yourself?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
How's your Ramadan going?
I mean, 20 days are gone, so.
How did it go?
Alhamdulillah, they were all right. We're
Quick?
hoping that the next 10 will be better than the last 20.
Inshallah. Taraweehs are going good?
Alhamdulillah. It's always a little bit pressure when you're leading them, but alhamdulillah, it's going well.
Taha, we're going to come back to you real quick. Any closing remarks about the whole politics, Muslims and politics?
Definitely. I think my last message to the youth and the community, the aunties, the uncles out there, we need to ensure we're putting our kids in positions of power. If we're going to continuously, every 4 years, put our own name up there at the age of 42, 58, 60, our kids will never get the opportunity because there's a time frame of when they have the opportunity to build a future for their next generation and be able to maximize their potential. And that's starting the age of 26, 27 till 36. Those are the peak years. If you want to get into politics and start your career, you got to start early. So, meri darkhast hai to the community, aunties and uncles, please step down and start mentoring the young generation now. And for those that are consistently being the selfie uncles and aunties of the community, It is great. Social media, I love it as well. I'm sure you enjoy it. You enjoy it as well. But we got to use it for something more than just posting pictures of people's hakikas, their birthdays and their weddings that we attended as members of parliament or members of provincial parliament. If we're going to do that, we make sure we're picking and choosing the right events, and we're not only picking and choosing the events that are for celebration, but also picking and choosing the events that we're mourning somebody's death or an incident in a community. Not only going to events that have big donors there so we can cash in come campaign time, but once again, we're spending time developing the youth in our community. We talk about the Pakistani cricket team all the time. My senior players को youngsters को मौका देना चाहिए. Because जब seniors खेलते रहते हैं World Cup में जाके वही हाल होता है जो पिछले 6 साल हुआ. So अगर वही हाल हम चाहते हैं अगले Canada में वही होते रहे in the political scene for the Muslim community, then we need to ensure the youth has the opportunity to run these elections. Let them lose, but let them learn from these opportunities. That's it.
Thank you. So, like I introduced, business leader. Let's touch on your business side now. Diversity and inclusion have become a big thing in corporations recently.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what you have seen in your experience in the corporate world? I think Sheikh can also add on to this if he would like.
I'll let you kick it off.
Yeah, you want me to kick it
100%.
Listen, I think I'm just going to bring a little bit of Islam in this as well, but speaking about incorporations and inclusion, Islam teaches us inclusion. Full stop. Include everyone. And I often say that you can disagree with someone's opinion, but you still have a right to respect them. You don't have to respect their opinion, but you have to respect them as a human being. And I think a lot of the times something is lost when we're discussing something and we begin to hate the individual rather than dislike their opinion or not agree with their opinion. But they may have one opinion out of 99 that may click with you, and you guys can grow together based on that. We often look, and this isn't a Canadian thing, this is not a Muslim thing, this is like a universal human thing. If somebody has 1% of bad and they're 99% good, we will attack that 1%. We will ruin their 99% of good things that they've ever done in their life. Similarly, on the other side, if there's an individual with 99% bad and 1% good, what Islam teaches us, forget about the 99% bad. Go for the 1%, because that could be the addition that this ummah needs. Maybe it could be an extra dollar that they've paid for somewhere in Pakistan, let's say. But that's still good. So let's talk about that rather than the flip side. So going back to inclusion, yeah, I mean, the more the merrier in Islam. Bring on everyone, right? But again, at some point, inclusion, you shouldn't include people, and this is a personal opinion of mine. Don't include them for the sake of including them, right? I don't agree with that sentiment. You include them because they bring value to your company. And if they bring value to your company, regardless of their background, their race, their culture, their knowledge, where they're from, where they're going, it doesn't matter. They're bringing in a benefit to you, and what are you providing them? A wage, a salary, shares, whatever it may be.
Taha?
Yeah, so, and carrying on from what you said, I have been in the Big Four, which is KPMG, Deloitte, EY, PwC, for the past 7 years. Started off at KPMG, went over to Deloitte, and for the past year and a half, I've been at PricewaterhouseCoopers. When I started PwC, I was fresh off Umrah, so I was, bald head, and I remember the first day, I had a call with my director. He was the one that hired me, and he said, something looks very different about you. I'm like, yeah, I had a full head of hair when he hired me. And when I started my job, I was pretty stressed out the last month because I knew I was starting this job, and I lost all my hair. But when I told him for Umrah, he was Muslim as well, he was very happy that I was open to tell people that I went for Umrah, it's a pilgrimage, for those that didn't understand it, and why I went. And based off of my past experiences at KPMG and Deloitte, we had the Salam network, we had the Muslim network there, which was basically inclusion networks where we celebrate Eid together, Ramadan together, had fast, we had seminars and different keynote speakers come in and just talk about their journey in the corporate world, or their journey as an Islamic scholar, and then relating it back to a topic in the corporate world, whether that's Black History Month, or so significant Muslims that are from the Black ethnicity. So when I spoke to a couple of leaders in the firm that are Muslim, they said we didn't have an inclusion network for the Muslim group. And for me, that was a bit alarming. PwC's been around for a while, and they had tried a couple of years ago, it wasn't successful, but since the Black Lives Matter movement had happened over the past couple of years, diversity, inclusion was a big deal. And our firm was investing a lot of money into ensuring that we had these networks in place to make sure everybody felt included, but also it wasn't just for the fact to show people that we have it, but actually get things done. So we spent the last year, a couple of us, working with the Chief Diversity Officer and a couple of other leaders within the firm, and we put together the PwC Muslim Inclusion Network. We had our launch in March this year. We had a Ramadan campaign that's still going on with Project Ramadan. We held a Iftaar in different service lines. We have an Iftaar next week. We're doing a volunteer day with Project Ramadan as well. And a lot of our leaders that are non-Muslims actually kept fast with us as well. They asked questions, and the first thing was like, how do you do this for 30 days? And I was like, well, I've been doing it for like the past 10, 12, 15 years, but it gets easier. But they also gained a level of respect for us that our productivity doesn't drop. We're still there for our 9 a.m. huddles. We're there working till 5. We're commuting to the office. We're still doing exactly what we did before this month, but if not, our productivity is a bit more, and we're not taking a lunch break. We're not taking a coffee break, and we're still putting in the effort we need to. And you know, the response across the firm has been great, alhamdulillah, and we've have hundreds of members. We have a lot of buy-in, and the best part about it is that our inclusion network is organizing events, and we're continuously inviting leadership that are non-Muslim and non-Muslim levels from associates, senior associates, managers, senior managers, whoever it is, inviting them and educating them about the religion, and seeing what kind of questions that sparks in them. We saw it at the Qatar World Cup.
Yep.
It was the biggest dawah that could have ever happened. I don't know how many thousand converts there were, but that's what it was used for.
Sheikh, I'm
gonna make one more point about inclusion here. We touched on a lot of matters. One matter that we didn't touch on is inclusion in the mosques. So what you'll notice is, if it's a Pakistani masjid, everyone is Pakistani in terms of management. If it's a Bangladeshi masjid, everyone's Bangladeshi. If it's a Ethiopian masjid, everyone's Ethiopian. That's contrary to what Islam teaches us. Islam teaches us that, hey, if there's someone who's volunteering, regardless of their background, they should have a say in the matters of the masjid. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but perhaps next year. Bring them on board. Maybe they have skills. I don't know if I ever told you the story of Richard McKinney.
I don't think so.
White guy, tattoos, served in the American Army for 15, 20 years. Special sniper, by the way, who killed Muslims. And he had a special hatred for Muslims, right? So he comes back here and he notices, and he's from Muncie, Indiana, small little town in Indiana. Comes back, he notices where'd all these Muslims come from in America. So he becomes, and it was to such, his hatred for Muslims was to such an extent that his wife wouldn't take him to Target. Because if he did, and he noticed someone with a hijab, he would physically remove the hijab from her. This is the amount of hate, because he'd seen 20 years of bloodshed in Muslims, and they're like, why are you killing each other? You're the same religion. So why are you coming here and you guys are going to do the same thing? So this American specialist, special ops, he builds a bomb. And there's a new, there was an Afghani refugee doctor, I forgot their name. They come and they've built a new Islamic center in Muncie. He builds a bomb. He's like, there's no way I'm allowing this. Builds a bomb, goes in, and it's a Thursday or it's a Wednesday. It's not Jummah. Goes in, and this elderly lady welcomes in. She says, Assalamu alaikum. Keep in mind, it's got big tattoos. Does not look like a Muslim, your typical Muslim. She says, what can I invite you here for? She says, they start talking. She says, well, you should come in tomorrow or on the day of Jummah. You see 20 people here, you'll see 200. He's like, oh, that's better use of my bomb. What's the point of being here right now? So he leaves, comes home, comes back on the day of Jummah. It's packed. They knew he was going to come back. They had made a meal for him. They had opened the Quran for him. And within a week, he accepted Islam. 2 years later, he became president of that Muncie, Islamic Society of Muncie. That's what we need. And that's what we're missing. And inshallah, with inclusion and with the young leaders such as Taha, such as yourself, as we start to come in, we can kind of, to put it bluntly, uproot some of the rust that the elders have placed in terms of not only Islam, but in the greater scheme as well. To try and bring everyone and teach everyone that Islam teaches inclusion, love, and harmony.
I think building off of that, the one thing that I've seen, not only in Markham or the West End as well, is that masjids have become a political platform.
Oh, for sure, yes.
And it makes my blood boil. And the reason being, when I ran for trustee back in 2018 I remember I went to my mosque and I was one of the first musallis, before that mosque was built, it was in a house in a basement. And I was one of the first 10 students back in 2000. And the same Mulana is there, and he still knows me. He's seen me grow up. And I walked in, and they were like, I'm running for trustee. So some of them recognized me for sure. And they're like, oh, humne apna candidate khada kiya hai. I'm like, apna candidate? I'm like, okay, so who decides this? They're like, as the board, we decided we're going to have this Muslim candidate run for municipal elections. I'm like, who are you to decide? I'm like, anyone can run. So then so I obviously, being the ball of fire I am, I was like, I want to debate, and I want to review this process. And they're like, "Is this process review nahi ho sakta, hum decide karte hain." I'm like, well, this is the house of Allah. You guys don't own this masjid. I will stand here and give my flyers out whenever I want to, because this is my house as much as it's yours. And they ended up having a debate for us. And I remember I stood up, and both the candidates, two Muslim candidates at that point, I was the third one. They're like, well, humne masjid ke liye ye kiya, humne wo kiya, humne ye kiya. So I stood up there and I said, Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Taha Shaikh. And I wanted to make one thing clear. If you're going to vote for me based on what I've done for this mosque, based off my color of my face, my name is Taha Shaikh, don't vote for me.
Let's take a live call.
All right.
Assalamu alaikum.
जी वालेकुम अस्सलाम
जी कौन साहब किधर से
जी मैं खालिद बात कर रहा हूँ मिल्टन से
जी
जी मेरा एक सवाल ये था कि पूछना ये है कि आमतौर पे जो आजकल यंग लोग हैं बच्चे जिसमें लड़के लड़कियां शामिल हैं
जी
उनका ज्यादातर जब उनको मैरिड के सिलसिले में कोई बात करते हैं तो वो दे अवॉइड द इशू
of marriage.
Yes.
Okay.
So what is that main reason for that, and how we convince them for to get at the proper way for nikah, or what is the appropriate age for the girl and the boy?
Okay, thank you. We'll ask your question to Sheikh. Thank you for calling.
I don't know if you noticed, I don't think you saw it, but the moment the marriage question, both of them turned to me and smiled, was because alhamdulillah, I'm getting my nikah done in a couple of days on the 28th, inshallah. So there's a couple of ways we can answer this question, right? One of the ways is strictly Islamically. Strictly Islamically speaking, somebody can get married as soon as they've hit puberty. That's Islam. Pretty straightforward. In terms of, you want to, obviously when we live in Canada, we have to abide by the rules of the country or the state that we live in. Here, the legal age of marrying is 18. So anyone 18 over the age of 18 can technically and legally get married. The real question is, why don't kids want to get married, or why they don't listen to their parents? It's a very interesting question. The problem is that when you come into Canada, you've been taught me, and my life, my way, my love for probably close to 18 years. So when you suddenly come in as a parent and say, nah, this is the man for you, or this is the woman for you, and she's or they are from this country, back home, wherever they may be from, obviously there's going to be a little bit of resentment, because they've seen the rom-coms of today, where a guy sees a girl, flowers and rainbows go off, there's love and happily ever after. That's not how life is.
Lots of vacations.
Lots of vacations, yeah. That's just simply not how life is. And part of the problem is we don't educate the children early enough. We don't tell them Islamic values. At the same time, we've also made marriage extremely difficult. Like, extremely. Meaning, a man has to have this much, he should be at least this, a woman needs to do this, this, and this. They have to be from this caste, they have to be from a good family. It doesn't matter about their deen, even though that's what Islam teaches, that their deen should be paramount. But she's not really from a good family. She's not from a good caste. I've heard this probably last week, where a parent was just like, I'm trying to convince her that I don't want her to get married because the guy's from a wrong caste. I was flabbergasted. I don't know how to respond to that. Like, if we still have that much ignorance, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, part of the reason why he married so many different wives was to teach us that, hey, you can marry all of these different things and live a very successful life. I mean, we have to take lessons from that. So I mean, the real question is probably our son or our daughter are over the age of 24 at this point. We're trying to get them married off and they don't want to get married. Start teaching them. I mean, it's going to be tough and it's not an easy road, but we have to teach them based on our experience that, hey, this is what's good for you, but you have to be inclusive. You have to understand them that, hey, where are you coming from? What do you have to say? Maybe there's a compromise that they can reach. And you have to show them that, I mean, lust, love, whatever it may be, appearance, whatever, this attraction you have for the opposite gender, it lasts probably 10, 15 years. Ask your parents if they still love each other, quote unquote, or if it's, because after that, you have to live with this person and they are your partner for life. So that's what we have to teach them, inshallah.
That actually brings me to a second point.
Yeah.
How do you balance relationships? Because I think Brother Taha was also wondering this. Friends get married and they disappear as.
I think building off of what you said, right? And I've seen this often. I've had conversations about marriage and relationships. I think I'm grateful that my parents have always told me that agar koi pasand aaye, humko bata dena, Musliman hoye. My parents also want me to marry a Pakistani, and I understand that for me personally, culturally, would love to marry a Pakistani as well. But, and which is, once again, there is no harm in choosing your own significant other.
Yep.
But the one thing that I guess out of maturity and over time and past experiences, one thing you learn is that, you start off and being like on Instagram, oh, that girl, she's so bad. Like, she looks beautiful.
Like, she's bad in a good way?
Bad in, like, she looks beautiful,
yeah,
right?
Okay.
So, and it,
just for our older audience.
So, वो खूबसूरत है, वो कपड़े बहुत अच्छे पहनती है, वो ये designer कपड़े पहनती है, ये करती है, वो करती है. And that's what we look for, right? And it's like you're attracted to the person based off of that. Probably haven't asked them what school they go to, and the second question usually is, what's your gym routine? What's your leg day routine like, right? Those are things that I am telling you our generation is worried about. What's your favorite cookie spot? Where do you go for dessert? What kind of cuisine or food you like? And unfortunately, for the youth out there that are watching, those will not help you build a family. Those will not help you solve any questions or any concerns down the road. And the way I've told, so I'm at the age of 27, 28, all of our friends are looking to get married. I myself, I guess, eventually, inshallah, when Allah wills. Inshallah. But what I tell them is that, and this might be an old school way of thinking, ask yourself those questions that you would ask your son or your daughter when they're getting married. What would you look for in their significant other? Or are you going to ask your son, what's your significant other's gym routine like? What's your favorite food to eat? No, you're going to ask them, what's their education? What's their akhlaq? Look for things that can help you build a family and a future, not for things that are going to give you a good time, a good gym routine, and great Instagram content.
You know what one of the problems is for the youth? We're especially this generation, we want short-term gratification.
That's all we want.
That's it. Instagram, every social media is tailored to that. So TV shows are tailored to that. Nowadays, I don't know, when I was younger, used to watch Yu-Gi-Oh!, Dragon Ball Z. You had to wait once a week for that episode to come in. Right now, you could go on Netflix and watch the whole series, just right there. So we have to get out of that thinking. We have to start thinking long-term. Many of the actions, many of the decisions that we make is just, what will I get tomorrow? And we don't think about what will I have to do 10 years down the road, because believe it or not, as our parents age, in Islam, there is no concept of old age homes. We have to be the ones to take care of them. So if my wife or the person that I'm going to marry already dislikes them and we're just at the fiance stage, then what's going to happen once we're married and there's kids? Who do I give more importance to, my parents or my kids or my wife? So those are the questions that we need to ask, and we need to teach our children. And I know there's a lot of masjids that are holding these sort of events where, you can come, you can meet other people, you can meet people of the opposite gender. What we don't teach is the significance of marriage. What we don't teach is what to look for in a spouse. What we don't teach is what kind of questions should we ask our spouse that we can try and build a happy relationship with down the road.
Dear viewers, stay with us. Just to let you guys know, the time for Iftar today is 7:59 according to Medina Masjid. We'll be back with Sheikh Abdullah, Taha Shaikh. Stay tuned.
जिंदगी में आगे बढ़ते रहना ही कामयाबी है। और कनाडा में कामयाबी शुरू होती है अपने घर से। तो अगर आप घर खरीदना या बेचना चाहते हैं तो चुनिए सिर्फ ऑनेस्ट, एक्सपीरियंस्ड एंड डेडिकेटेड रियल एस्टेट प्रोफेशनल को, लाइक मोहम्मद कमालुद्दीन। रियल एस्टेट, इन्वेस्टमेंट्स और प्री कंस्ट्रक्शन प्रोजेक्ट्स के डाइवर्स एक्सपीरियंस के साथ। एक्सपेक्ट नो सरप्राइजेस, जस्ट ऑनेस्ट कस्टमर सर्विस from Mohammad Kamaluddin. So call now at 416-890-2501.
HK Movers, home, offices, apartments and delivery, big or small, we move it all.
HK Movers.
Local and long distance, we also ship cars, Keller transport and moving services.
For service with a smile, give us a call.
Call Mr. Harminder 416-524-6704.
416-524-6704 पे.
Visit 140 Advanced Boulevard, Unit number 10, Brampton.
Long distance moving specialist.
HK Movers. HK Movers.
Are you purchasing a new home, looking to get a new mortgage, or renewing your existing mortgage? Kamran Qureshi is here to guide you through the mortgage approval process to get you the lowest available rates in the market. Kamran makes you feel right at home while helping you select the right residential mortgage solution that meets your need. Kamran specializes in residential mortgages for primary or investment properties, refinancing for debt consolidation, renovation or investments, transfer from other lenders for mortgage renewals, serving the community for 17 years. For best mortgage rates and trusted advice, call Kamran Qureshi today at 647-280-6663.
मशरकी तहजीब की खूबसूरत दास्तान, बरसों से चली आ रही रिवायतों का पासबान, खुशबू और जायके का वही कदरदान, करते हैं हर खाने में अपने लज्जत का एहतमाम। हर पकवान है बेमिसाल, हर खुशबू है लाजवाब। कढ़ाई पॉइंट, जायका ऐसा कि दिल जीत ले। आज ही हमारे कढ़ाई पॉइंट तशरीफ लाएं और अपनी खुशियों को हमारे संग मनाएं। कढ़ाई पॉइंट, मेड विद क्वालिटी एंड फ्लेवर्ड विद पैशन।
मुझे फुरकत में रहकर फिर वो मक्का याद आता है, वो जमजम याद आता है, वो काबा याद आता है। खुदा ने हमें सब चीजों से नवाजा, तो क्यों ना उसके घर जाकर उसका शुक्र अदा करें, हज और उम्रा करें किंग ट्रैवल के साथ। ऑथराइज्ड एजेंट ऑफ मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ हज एंड उम्रा, रॉयल एम्बेसी ऑफ सऊदी अरेबिया। इसके अलावा हर किस्म का सऊदी वीजा। किंग ट्रैवल, नंबर 1 उम्रा एजेंट इन कैनेडा। कॉल नाउ एट 1-800-844-5464। लेना हो एंटरटेनमेंट का चस्का टीवी एंड वीडियो अप्लायंसेस की सूरत में, या बनाना हो जिंदगी को आसान और शानदार किचन एंड लॉन्ड्री अप्लायंसेस के साथ, और भरपूर नींद के मजे लीजिए ब्रैम्पटन टीवी एंड अप्लायंसेस के साथ, क्योंकि हमारे पास है लोएस्ट प्राइसेस ऑफ ब्रांड न्यू टीवी, वीडियो एंड अप्लायंसेस, मैट्रेसेस एंड किचन एंड लॉन्ड्री अप्लायंसेस की मुकम्मल रेंज। सो अभी विजिट करें ब्रैम्पटन टीवी एंड अप्लायंसेस, 801 बोवेट ड्राइव, वेस्ट ब्रैम्पटन, और कॉल 905-450-2828।
Welcome back to our Ramadan live Iftar transmission, Iman Hi Ramzan. We have Sheikh Abdullah Raja here with us, who I mentioned is the president of MYL Canada. Sheikh, can you tell us more about MYL, what it is, what the goals are of MYL?
Yeah, so I mean, it's Muslim Youth League of Canada, and our whole purpose is to empower and teach our youth the importance of being Muslims. And I often say this just about wherever I give a speech, we've forgotten why we're a Muslim. I mean, I could ask you that right now, why are you Muslim? And if your answer is something like, because my parents are a Muslim, because you're going to lose Islam. You just don't care. Why are you working? Oh, to get a job, to pay my mortgage. You have like a list of reasons why. Why do you want to get married? List of reasons why. Why are you have, but when you get to why are you a Muslim? Blank. The answer is simple. It could be the beauty of the Quran. It could be the beauty of the seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It could be the adab that is taught in Islam. It could be a story from the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It could be about the inclusivity. It could be that Islam abolished racism 1400 years ago. It's a plethora of things, but we don't know because there's a disconnect about what Islam teaches, what we know and then what we perceive Islam to be. So we need to really understand it. And MYL helps to give this knowledge to the youth by including them, by bringing in, there's a monthly session. There's a monthly session in Mississauga, there's a monthly session in Ajax, Hamilton, Caledon, Milton, everywhere, just so that we can empower the youth. And then we have a big program, October, I believe, Mercy for Humanity, where we have sheikhs coming over. We have about, last year I think we had close to 1,000 people, 1,000 plus people, attendees, 2-3 hour program just tailored on teaching Muslims, Canadians, and the population at large about the beauty of our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
So, continuing off to the youth, how can the youth change their lives during Ramadan, and how can they keep these good habits that they build during these 30 days post Ramadan? Not just second it's Eid, it's, you know.
Before I answer that, I'm going to put Taha on the spot and ask him what he's done. What to basically change yourself for the better in this month of Ramadan?
I think for me, this month of Ramadan has been a lot more about family. The last couple of years we had COVID, and before then it was just, you know, life gets you busy at different times. But this year, for the first time, and I don't know how long, my father and I have been able to spend time together, not only in the house, but able to go to the masjid together. For Fajr, and then for Taraweeh, and then Isha as well, and then for different speakers and events. And that's the routine we built. My sister got married last year, so there's only 4 of us in the house. My brother was busy with exams. So one thing, and I developed habits as a kid. I would just quickly wake up for suhoor, drink some water, and fall asleep. But this year, I made it a point that for every suhoor, I woke up. And for me, it was even if I'm not eating or drinking and I went out last night and I ate, it was an opportunity for me to spend time with my parents. It was something that down the road, I know for a fact, I'm going to miss out on. You know, life gets busy, you get married, you have kids, and you have responsibilities, and your routine and things change. But this time that you can treasure doing ibadah, this is a form of ibadah as well, right? You're praying and you're reading the Quran, you're going for namaz, but the time you get to spend with your parents as well is a form of ibadah. And I think that's something that I've changed. And one thing I was telling you before the show as well was that I think these are things that the youth need to continue. For me, not listening to music, not going out for social events and stuff like that, those are things I've changed. But these are habits that we should be able to continue, right? And I think the month of Ramadan has become a testament of how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing us something we can do consistently for 30 days, right? It's an opportunity. If we can do it for 30 days, why can't we do it for the rest of the year? Something we need to continue. So I think for me it was spending time with family, going to the masjid, getting more involved in my mosque as well, even though there are different levels of seniority there, but the youth needs to be involved, and that's about it.
MashaAllah. Yeah, I mean, that's really it. Pick something, anything. You picked family. It could be, and it doesn't have to be such a huge, encompassing word as family. It could be as simple as, I'm going to read SubhanAllah once every day for the rest of my life. That's a goal. And if you do it in Ramadan, obviously you get 70 times the blessings. But any other time you do it, it's still 10 times. So if you think about doing a good deed in Islam, you get one good deed. Just thinking, oh, I'm going to say salam to my parents first. That's one good deed. If you act upon it, it's 10 times more. And then in Ramadan, if you act upon it, it's 70 times more. So almost 700 times for every act that we've done. Laylatul Qadr is coming up, right? In Laylatul Qadr, if you spend 1 hour of worship, so 1 hour it could be either just reading Quran, it could be 1 hour smiling at people. That's worship. That's sadaqah, right? That's 9.8 years of worship. 1 hour in Laylatul Qadr is 9.8 hours. So let's pretend 5 nights of Laylatul Qadr. We hope and pray that each one is there. At least 1 hour each night, you've gotten yourself 10 years. Inshallah, may Allah give us life, we'll live for the next 10 years. We've prayed, let's say, we've done enough worship for 100 years if we just stay up for 1 hour each night, 5 days. Night could be 11 to 12, could be 12 to 1, 1 to 2, anytime before suhoor. Stay up. And that's it. So we have to make tangible goals. It doesn't have to be, I'm going to read 5 times a day. If you don't even read once now, you're not going to read 5 times a day. It's pretty self-explanatory. So it could be, I'll read once. I'm not going to bog it down to Fajr, Zuhr, Asr, Maghrib, which it's going to be once. Whenever I have time, I have school, I have work, I have this, I have that. But I'm going to pray once. Great goal. Let's build off that goal. I'm going to read one verse of the Quran. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. Done. I'm going to memorize one verse of the... Whatever is easy for you, but you have to be consistent. Why do you get a degree at the end of 4 years? Because you're consistently working for a degree. You don't just go in for a day and then say peace. And then go in the next day, maybe next week. Nobody gets a degree like that. Whether it be working from home, but the exams, there's quizzes, there's assignments. But 4 years, you're dedicated for a bachelor's. Then there's 2 years of master's. Then there's 6 years of PhD. Then maybe if you're becoming a doctor, there's another fellowship. Then there's other things that you're always doing. You're in accounts. I'm sure there's diplomas or something that you have to continually do to stay up to date. What tells Muslims to stay up to date? The Quran. Read it. Continually read it. You'll always find something new.
Dear viewers, stay with us. We're going to be right back after a short break. Again, the time for Iftar today is 7:59 according to the Medina Masjid calendar. Stay tuned. We'll be back with Sheikh Abdullah Raja and Taha Shaikh.
Do you want to start your own business in Canada? Is it your dream to own a gas station? Would you like to invest in a residential development?
If yes, then you need to contact Mirza Zulfikar Chaudhry, one of the best residential and commercial brokers in the community, broker of Global West Realty Limited. Call him at 416-908-1575.
हम गैस स्टेशन और कमर्शियल प्लाजा की डेवलपमेंट का काम करते हैं। अगर आपको गैस स्टेशन की डेवलपमेंट के हवाले से या गैस स्टेशन खरीदने के हवाले से कोई भी मशवरा चाहिए तो आप हमसे राब्ता कर सकते हैं।
Mirza Zulfikar Chaudhry, broker of Global West Realty. Phone number 416-908-1575.
Muslim Welfare Canada works hard to ensure no one goes hungry. They're providing much needed assistance to those who are struggling. Last year, MWC delivered more than 30,000 hot meals to those in need. We can all make a difference. Let's commit to taking action today so that tomorrow no one in Canada will go to sleep hungry again. Donate today and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward your efforts.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
वालेकुम अस्सलाम भाई। अम्मी अब्बू की एनिवर्सरी में सिर्फ 2 दिन रह गए हैं।
हाँ यार मुझे पता है, लेकिन काम इतना ज्यादा है, इतनी जल्दी ट्रैवल कैसे मैनेज होगा? अच्छा चलो मैं अब बिजी हूँ, बाद में बात करता हूँ। हेलो, मैचलेस ट्रैवल्स।
हेलो, हाउ कैन आई हेल्प यू सर?
एक अर्जेंट टिकट चाहिए लाहौर के लिए।
नो प्रॉब्लम सर, आप अपनी बेसिक डिटेल्स और डेट्स हमें भेज दें, बाकी आप हम पर छोड़ दें।
और रिटर्न टिकट?
सर मैचलेस ट्रैवल्स पाकिस्तान के 7 शहरों में ऑपरेट करता है। आप किसी भी वक्त हमारे यूएन नंबर पर कॉल करके हमारी बेमिसाल और काबिल एतमाद सर्विस हासिल कर सकते हैं।
हो तमन्ना कोई दिल में तो अधूरी ना रहे, आंख झपके तो जो दूरी है वो दूरी ना रहे। जब भी ख्वाहिश हो सिमट जाए सफर लौट चलें, जब भी याद आए बहन भाई तो घर लौट चलें। सहन के झूले शरारत के जमानों की तरफ, अम्मी अब्बू की मोहब्बत के खजानों की तरफ। आए बचपन की हंसी याद तो जी लें फिर से, घर है खुशियों से फिर आबाद तो जी लें फिर से। मैचलेस ट्रैवल्स, परदेश से अपने देश तक। 2896436663।
When you're involved in a personal injury incident, you need a law firm you can trust. A law firm that has the necessary expertise to ensure you get the compensation you deserve. At JS Law, we have proved our success in helping victims of car accidents, slip and falls, and other personal injury matters. At JS Law, we use our knowledge and expertise to ensure you are not taken advantage of by insurance companies. Call us today or visit jslaw.ca and let us help you get your life back.
Welcome back to Canada 1 TV's live Iftar transmission. Iman here, Ramzan. Sheikh Abdullah, Taha Shaikh, do you guys have any closing remarks regarding the habits? Ramadan habits, good habits, bad habits?
I mean, just going off of the last conversation that we had, I think it's so important that even if you take 10 minutes, as a family, if you sit down, it takes 10 minutes to read one page of the Quran with meaning. That's a great habit to have. Because you're literally listening to the word, like Allah spoke these words. He spoke them. At the very least, we should know what Allah talked to us about. At the very least as a Muslim. Like I could ask most Muslims today in North America, youngsters especially, give me one thing that Allah told us about. Oh, you should pray. But there's no verse that you could ever, I'll even ask you a simple question. Who is Allah? Oh, He's God. That's not the definition of Allah. I could say, Jesus is God. What's the difference? Who is Allah? Nobody has an answer to that. Why? If you don't know who your Rabb is, your Lord, your God, the person that you pray to, what state of a Muslim are we in? Who is Allah? قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. This is Allah's own definition of Himself. He defined Himself. Fun fact, you read Surah Ikhlas 3 times, you finish the entire Quran. Another fun fact. A person came in, he's like, I'm bogged down by debt to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, no problem. Go home. Every time you enter your home, read Surah Ikhlas 3 times. Allah will make a way for your debt to be finished. How long did it take me to قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ? 5 to 6, 7 seconds? We can't take 21 seconds. We don't even, forget about why we're doing it for Allah. I'm sure we can do it for the debt. At the very least. And unfortunately, there's nothing wrong with that. In Islam, people say why did Allah fill the Quran with Jannah and Jahannam? Because we as humans are emotional creatures. He knew that for most people, Jannah would be pulling. Oh, we get all of this, we get whatever we want, and Jahannam would be something that nobody wants to go towards. So we go away from that. What's the least punishment in Jahannam? Slippers made of hellfire. And they'll be so hot that your brain, or inshallah not our brain, but whoever is there, their brain will burn through their nose, through their nostrils. That's the least punishment. Like the person with one more sin than good. Can you imagine? So it's these sunnah, it's these characteristics that Allah describes at the Day of Judgment that really motivates people. That's why the 30th juz is so powerful, right? It's so eloquent in the way Allah told us and either made us emotionally for Jannah or emotionally against Jahannam, and to try and convince us. And throughout the Quran, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ, do you not understand? Do you not comprehend? Are you not seeing? Are you not listening? Throughout the Quran you'll find these words. So whatever the habit may be, and honestly I shouldn't be the one to tell you the habit because you won't do it. That habit you have to figure out for yourself. One other thing that I do urge you, that I think you can change right now. I don't know about your families, right? But most families, especially Pakistani Muslim families, you usually gain weight in Ramadan. For a fact.
Yeah, definitely.
You usually gain weight. That's a problem. Because you're not eating, especially nowadays during the winter, like as we get closer to winter, a fast is what, 18 hours?
Less.
You don't eat?
Less.
Right? So, I mean, whatever it may be, but you're not eating for 16 to 18 hours a day and you're still gaining weight. That's counterintuitive to all biology. And the problem is, the reason is because we open the fast with pakoras and we'll have Pepsi and we'll eat more in the time that we're supposed to be sleeping and praying than we've ever eaten in our past. On average, I think, just by the way, you stand in Tarawih, how many calories do you burn? 2 hours standing, just 2 hours standing, you burn about 600 calories. Just standing for 2. And then this doesn't include the ruku, the sujood, the qiyam, the raising the hands. My conservative estimate, you probably, if you pray all 20 rakahs, you burn between 750 and 1,000 calories a night.
Probably.
So if you aren't losing, it's probably because, I mean, it's basic biology, right? You take more calories than you burn, you're going to gain weight. So whatever it may be, but you guys choose, the viewers, the parents. And parents, you can't choose for your kids. Each one is independent. You have to come up with your own goals. And inshallah, make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that may Allah give you istiqamat, that may I continue. Again, don't make the goal overreaching. If you can't do it now, you're not going to do it when shaitan is released. Impossible. So make something easy for yourself, whether it be smiling at your parents, whether it be saying some sort of zikr, whether it be one prayer. Maybe it could be one fast a week. Whatever it may be, but do it for Allah. I think we touched on politics a little earlier.
Yes,
that masjids have become, well, I am so against this, that politicians only come to the masjids when? During election time. Don't come to the masjid if all you're there for is to get a vote. Come to the masjid because you genuinely want to pray to Allah. That's the purpose of a mosque. Is it not?
100%.
So, I mean, these are some of the things that inshallah I think everyone can do to be better humans.
Just a reminder to the viewers that live calls are open. If you do have any questions for Taha Shaikh or Shaykh Abdullah, we are taking live calls. Taha, you have any questions for Shaykh Abdullah?
I guess like as we head towards the end half of our show, we talked about a couple of things. We talked about politics, we talked about diversity and inclusion. We started to talk about marriage as we got a caller that asked about marriage in the age group of 24 to 28. And then we talk now about Ramadan habits. I guess like finishing off the show, let's have an open discussion for us three where we talk about the importance of continuing to respect your parents, knowing the role of your parents and where they stand in your life before marriage, and continuing to know what their role is in your life after marriage, and understanding what that thought process should be when you're getting married. We've seen divorce rates are high in our community.
And they're increasing.
They're increasing, and they're not stopping, right? And we're seeing time and time again that religion is being used as a chess piece, where people are saying, and as simple as this, girls and guys both are putting kun fayakun, tawakkul, sabr in their Instagram bios.
Oh, interesting.
Why? Because they want to show that, hey, I got deen dunya balance. Because on Instagram, you can show the dunya balance 11 months of the year. But if Ramadan has passed, the guy or girl you're talking to won't be able to show you their deen balance unless it's Jummah, they're posting Jummah Mubarak. And that's about it. So they have tawakkul, and I can promise you, and I've asked people, what does kun fayakun even mean? What is tawakkul? What is sabr? Right? And I think let's have an open discussion. I'll throw it to you. What parents and their roles and what you've seen in the youth so far.
I mean, I think we kind of slightly touched upon this a little earlier. What we have to understand is even once we're married, our parents have certain rights over us. And I put that very blatantly and very carefully. Our parents have rights over us, meaning we have a responsibility to take care of them. It's not the other way around. We will be questioned if our parents, in the Quran, you can't even say oof to your parents. So and it's a figure of speech. It's not literally oof. It could be anything. How do you think they're going to feel if you get married and you never go visit them? That's a little more than an oof, don't you think? Because if your mom or your dad ever speaks to Allah and does dua, and they give a bad dua, they give a bad dua to Allah, in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to you, that is one punishment that you will suffer in this dunya and in the life hereafter.
Let's take a live call. Assalamu alaikum.
जी वालेकुम सलाम. मेरा अब्दुल्ला राजा से क्वेश्चन है.
जी.
मैंने पूछना है कि हमें कुरान पढ़ते हैं, हमें उसमें बहुत डर लगता है, चीजें नजर आती हैं, क़यामत के बारे में बताया जाता है. आसान तरीका जन्नत में जाने का, अच्छा मुसलमान होने का क्या कर सकते हैं जो हम अपने बच्चों को भी सिखा सके कि हम ये बहुत सिंपल वे है, ये हम कर लें तो हम जन्नत में चले जाएंगे, कि ना कि हम डराएं कि क़यामत वाले दिन हमारे दिमाग जो है नाकों से खून होगा, ये होगा. आसान जहन्नम की बजाय हमें जन्नत के बारे में बताया जाए कि हम क्या कर सकते हैं.
जी, थैंक यू.
MashaAllah. Sawal bahut acha tha. What is something very easy that we can do to go into Jannah and inshallah? And Jannah, as I said, I mentioned one bad thing about Jahannam. One good thing about Jannah is the person with the smallest Jannah. The smallest Jannah, his house will be as big as this earth. The person with the smallest Jannah, meaning one, or his bad deeds and good deeds are exactly equal. I mean, and somebody who loves Rasulullah, what better thing than whenever you want to visit Rasulullah, go visit him. So what is something easy that you can do to go into Jannah? Well, be a good Muslim. Because that's the bare minimum that you have to do. And I don't wish to be the harbinger of bad news, but for every 1,000 people, 999 will go into Jahannam, 1 will go into Jannah. And there's a reason for that. It's because we aren't good Muslims. So something that you can do, I'll give you a very easy example. If you can fulfill this, then you're a good Muslim. And this is a litmus test that you guys can both do as well. This is Iman. What are you more scared of? Allah or a snake? Well, most people would not go near a snake, even though only 15% are poisonous. But that 15% is so scary that, oh, if it bites me, I'm dead. Like that's Iman. That's faith. Until we have at least an inkling of that faith that that's Allah. He can forgive all my sins. Or He can decide to not forgive all my sins. We won't be a good Muslim. So at the very least, here's something tangible that you can do right now. Is just read the Quran 1 page a day.
I think we got another live.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. I just had a question.
Yes.
So, my friend, she's very interested in Islam, and I've told her a lot of things. So, is it possible if I can convert her, or do I have to take her to an imam or a mosque?
Thank you for your question.
I would encourage you to take her to an imam or to a mosque because there are certain aspects that the imam should explain to the individual converting because it's not an easy decision. And that decision will live with them for the rest of their life. And you don't want to make this decision nonchalantly. So it's very imperative that you speak to someone who has some sort of ilm about Islam. So if they have any pressing questions, they can be asked. And Islam is never spread by the sword. It's only spread and you're only becoming Muslim if you want to become Muslim. So the Imam will go through that. So I encourage you, speak to any Imam, anyone with a little bit of ilm about Islam. It could be preferably in a masjid, especially in Ramadan. You will get the blessings. They will understand what brotherhood, sisterhood is in Islam. So take them to a masjid is my advice to you.
Let's bring it back to the open discussion Brother Taha opened.
Yeah, I guess I'll talk about what I've seen in our age group.
Yeah.
I think one thing that I hear often, and this is alarming, it's that girls and guys are putting conditions on their marriage before they actually get married. And conditions as to when you can go see your parents, how much money you can give them, you should be transparent with me. And I think the picking and choosing of Islam in relationships, I'm not a perfect Muslim, I'm no one to judge, but for me, and this is over life experiences for all of us. We learn as you grow, and I learned that the respect and the role of your parents is something that you can never change. And if they're telling you to avoid something, it's because my baro ko pata hota hai. 110%.
Yeah.
And I've heard girls and guys say this, that you're gonna go see your mom and dad a couple of days a week. And my question for them has always been, did your mom and dad pick and choose when they took you to the doctors and when they're gonna cook food for you?
Yeah,
or when every day.
Or when they got to see you.
Yeah, no questions asked.
Yeah.
Whether they wanted to see your face or not, they got up every morning, dropped you to school, made lunch, whatever it was, and they did it. And they never asked a question. So why is our generation now asking these questions? Because for me, it's simple. If my son came to me and said that, hey, the girl I'm marrying is saying this, that I'm going to see you a couple of days a week, or might not even tell me, gets married and does it after, how am I going to feel? वो सोचना तुम्हारे माँ बाप पे क्या गुजरेगी उस वक्त when they're alone, they got no one. As a son of the house, you need to ensure you're there for your parents. They brought you to this point. They brought us to Canada. They gave us education, and we stand here today because of them. And if we're gonna get married and start our life, I don't think there'll be any barakat in that relationship or any. Then let me know how life works out for you.
Well, I think one thing during the break we were talking about was tawakkul.
Yes.
Where's tawakkul here in Allah? Because you should have tawakkul in Allah that inshallah I'm going to choose my parents over my feelings. Then that's tawakkul, because now you can actually expect good from Allah. Many times we don't do anything good, we're just like, oh, Allah will give us good. And inshallah He will, because He's Rahman, He's Rahim, He's Malik, Quddus. But we have to also crawl towards Allah so He can walk towards us. Walk towards Allah so He can run towards us, right? That's a hadith. So this is where tawakkul, this is practical tawakkul. This is what we need, not just, I think you mentioned this, right? Yeah. Putting it on an Instagram handle, tawakkul.
Come on now.
We have to act upon tawakkul as well. We have to physically walk towards tawakkul. And again, and I think just going back to the caller, something that kind of touched me was as well that don't scare our children. And I don't mean to scare any of the children. I really don't. But and this is coming from a neuropsychological standpoint, from my background, fear is one of the greatest tactics in terms of persuasion.
100%.
This is why it's used by Allah.
Yeah.
This is why our parents use it against us. Because it works. And fear is a better tactic than encouragement will ever be. Fear is a better tactic than encouragement will ever be. We should encourage them to do good, but you need to know the punishments of Allah as well. It's very imperative that we know that.
Let's take another live caller.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Question regarding how to balance like social media as like a female specifically, like in today's day, without having it have a negative impact on my deen.
Thank you.
Go for it.
We'll hand your question over to Sheikh Abdullah and Taha Shaikh. Thank you.
I think I'll keep it quick. I think it goes for females and guys as well, right? A lot of girls nowadays, and don't cancel me and don't come at me for this. They like to be social media influencers, right? Hey, I'm at this restaurant, I got this discount on a hijab or this dress, 15% off, 20% off. And you're using it to post all these pictures and stuff out there. And I always ask, I'm like, would you be okay with your son or daughter doing the same thing? And you're putting your full life out there in every capacity. And you're okay, everybody knows every detail. Yeah. Nazar is real. You're telling them a picture, oh, I'm eating this today, I'm with this friend doing this and doing that. There needs to be a fine line of what's shared with the world, what's shared with your family, and what's shared with your spouse.
Yep. I'll attack it from a different angle. And I think what many children and youth and adults who are working social media, it's exactly the same way in anything we tackle. Give us something that we can do right now that will prevent us from using social media. Give us something that we can do right now that will make us pray 100 times a day or 5 times a day. It's not that easy. You have to actually work towards it. And I'll share with you something that you can do right now to help mitigate your time. I've mentioned this in my talks in the past, but on your phone that you use social media on, there's a way that you can check your screen time. Instagram for this much time, Facebook for this much time, whatever it may be. Actively work towards reducing that every week. Make a goal for yourself that, hey, next day, tomorrow, I'm only going to use social media for an hour collectively. Then maybe 30 minutes of social media usage a day, is healthy. Because you need some sort of dopamine level increase, and that's what social media does at the end of the day. It makes you feel better about yourself. That's the purpose of social media, right? There's no other purpose. And obviously, yes, you get to raise awareness, you get to hear about world events. Obviously, that gets added into it as well. But an hour to 30 minutes to 60 minutes a day of social media usage is fine. Anything over is excessive. And 60 minutes, I'm being very generous. So anything over that for sure. So work towards it. Maybe on average, a youth in North America uses their phone for social media 2 hours and 30 minutes.
A day?
A day. A day. And I could look at it right now and probably be close to that. I'm sure Taha, if you look at it yourself, it'd be close to that. Abdullah, you look at it, it's going to be around that time. That's a day. So maybe your goal is next week it'll only be 2 hours 15. Maybe every day, then maybe 2 hours. So try to get it as close to the 60-minute range as you can. He's smiling, so I'm curious as to what his social media usage is. I don't know if you're comfortable sharing, but...
Yeah, so I'm on a daily basis, on average, 2 hours on Instagram, 55 minutes on YouTube, but I also watch educational videos on YouTube.
Fair enough. Still social media, though.
Still social media. Yeah. And an hour on TikTok.
So we're at 4 hours now.
Yeah.
Subhanallah. Subhanallah. So again, we have to actively work towards reducing that.
While we're going towards the end of the transmission, I have a question for you as a McMaster student.
Sure.
Recently, I saw a post regarding an iftar that happened. I'm pretty sure you're aware of what I'm about to ask.
That iftar will happen.
Will happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it's on 13th.
It's on the 13th.
Yeah.
So, I know you know what I'm about to ask.
Yeah.
You want to...
I'll put it very simply and I'll put it slightly bluntly. As a Muslim living in Canada, one of the beauties of living in Canada is you have a right to stand up for your views and opinions. One of the views and opinions in Islam is that there are two genders, male and female. We have as much of a right to stick up to our opinion as an individual may have to stick up against our opinion. And we can have a civil dialogue, civil discourse on that without needing to hate one another. Somebody can identify as someone of the opposite or on a spectrum, gender spectrum, let's say, whatever they may be, part of the LGBTQ plus community. And you can still have a conversation with them, but respect them as a human being. I think we lose that respect because how can society prevail if you can't even have a discussion on two opposing points of view? If you can't have that, that's not a civil society, that's barbarianism. And that's what we need to have, especially in our institutions, in our learned institutions. Hey, I have a different opinion, let's talk about it. We may not come to a conclusion, but at least I now know where you're coming from to a certain extent. So I'll respect you a little more. Not your opinion, but you as a human being. All right, so obviously I disagree with the iftar that's going. That's my personal opinion. It's an Islamic perspective, in my opinion, that probably 99.9999, if not 100% of Islamic scholars across the Sunni scholars across the globe would adhere to. There are two genders in Islam, and we are part of one of them. That's just our opinion. If you don't identify as one of those two genders, I still respect you as a human being because that is the teaching of Islam.
Sheikh, I think let's take it towards the dua. We have a few minutes left.
Inshallah.
Let's do dua.
Any naat you want to read, perhaps?
Any
Your
naat
beautiful voice? To a minute or so?
Give us a couple of
yeah.
Oh, you guys are putting me on the spot, huh? Okay. Sallallahu alayka ya Rasulallah wa sallam alayka ya Habiballah. इतना काफ़ी है ज़िंदगी के लिए रख ले आका जो नौकरी के लिए इतना काफ़ी है ज़िंदगी के लिए आ गए कब्र मैं भी छोड़वाने आ गए कब्र मैं भी छोड़वाने दर्द कितना है उम्मती के लिए इतना काफ़ी है ज़िंदगी के लिए
माशाल्लाह 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 اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى ال سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم وصل عليه ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب القبر وقنا عذاب الحشر وقنا عذاب القرد وقنا عذاب المرض وقنا عذاب الميزان اللهم فكهنا في الدين اللهم أجرنا من النار رب اجعلني مقيم الصلاة ومن ذريتي ربنا وتقبل دعاء ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive our sins. O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this blessed month of Ramadan the best Ramadan that we've ever had. O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of our worships. O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to enter into Jannah and protect us from Jahannam. O Allah, anyone who is sick, O Allah, give them shifai kamila. Anyone who is poor, give them wealth. Anyone who is in need of anything, O Allah, you're the best of providers, so provide for them. O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, teach Muslims love between each other. Give them respect for each and every human being in the world. And O Allah, put the love of Rasulullah in our hearts. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala khayri khalqihi wa nuri arshi Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in bi rahmatika ya arhamar.
Dear viewers, thank you for watching Canada 1 TV's live iftar transmission, Iman Hi Ramzan. I've been your host, Abdullah Shaikh. Taha, Shaikh Abdullah, thank you for being here with me on a short notice, Shaikh Abdullah.
My pleasure.
Stay tuned. Tomorrow we'll be back with Sehri with Najam Shiraz and then the live iftar transmission. Thank you.
اللهم إن اللهم إني لك صمت وبك آمنت وعليك توكلت وعلى رزقك أفطرت.
ऐ अल्लाह, मैंने तेरे लिए रोजा रखा और तुझ पर ईमान लाया और तुझ पर भरोसा किया और तेरे अदा किए हुए रिस्क से रोजा इफ्तार किया.